Welcome back. Will Worsham joins us now for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Thanks for coming in. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you. Good to see you too.
All right, you ready for the question?
Sure.
Have you heard it before? Probably. Here we go. My husband is interested in a funeral insurance policy. Is this better than life insurance, or is there some other way to handle these expenses?
Okay, great. Yeah.
Explain what it is
okay,
first.
so a funeral insurance policy is generally something that you're probably going to buy maybe from a funeral home or a funeral parlor or whatever, and they'll sell you advanced policies to where you can pay into it over time or purchase it at once, and then when it's time, your funeral expenses are paid for up to a certain amount. So it's a way that you can take care of those end-of-life expenses without your kids or your heirs or your friends or family having to pay for that, and you kind of get to say, this is what I want and all that kind of stuff.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, you can do that.
Great.
Now, as far as whether it's better than a life insurance policy, to be perfectly honest about it, it is a life insurance policy. That's exactly what it is. It's a whole life insurance policy that pays out upon your death. It's just designated for a specific purpose. So you have to analyze that probably like you'd analyze, I feel like I'm stepping on Bruce's toes now a little bit, but you kind of have to analyze that the way you'd analyze any other insurance policy. Is it a good return on your investment for that insurance policy? Just so you compare that versus what a life insurance policy would do.
Or is this something that the funeral homes or parlors prefer because they know they're going to get their money?
Well, obviously, I mean, I would think that would be a selling point, is that as opposed to a general whole life insurance policy that's going to pay out to the beneficiaries, and they can theoretically use that for whatever reason they want, this one has a designated purpose. It's going to go straight to a funeral parlor for specific expenses. So yeah, I would think that the funeral parlor would prefer that. Now, on the flip side of that, you could, through a combination of estate planning techniques, you could, if you had a trust or you had a will, trust would work better, you could have an insurance policy, a whole life insurance policy, regular whole life insurance policy, of which the beneficiary was the trust. And then the trustee is instructed to spend a certain amount of money, of that money, for your funeral expenses in the way that you want it spent. So you could accomplish the same purpose using a traditional life insurance policy. You've just got to go through a trust. Now, I wouldn't go to all the trouble of creating a trust just for that purpose. But if you're already doing an estate plan, which you should, and you already have a trust being created, there'd be no problem putting the provisions in that trust to pay for your funeral expense.
I would think it's a little bit easier after you reach a certain age, though, to buy the insurance policy for burial versus trying to get whole life insurance, to go into a trust. It's like, no, we're not going with that one.
Yeah, well, it's like anything else. The insurance companies are going to run an actuarial table and figure out what type of premium you're going to have to pay in order for them to be able to make enough money by investing it over time in order to make a profit when they eventually have to pay out. Because that's what a whole life insurance policy generally is it's going to, for the most part, be a guaranteed payout. It doesn't, as opposed to a term life insurance policy that if you outlive your insurance policy, the insurance company's real happy. They're rooting for you.
Of course.
Because, because your contract's up, they're never going to have to pay. It's in case of, not in case when.
That's playing the percentages.
Absolutely. For both of us, both parties.
Of course. So just to be clear, that from what you would get from the funeral home, that doesn't just cover your funeral? That's...
Well, it covers whatever the policy says it will cover, but generally those are designed to cover funeral expenses. So that may be, and surely is, the embalming, the service, the casket, the vault, everything that goes along.
What if somebody changes their mind?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to look and see once again what that policy allows. Is there a cancellation provision? Is it transferable and or portable would be a probably better
because,
term.
You know,
transferable.
That's
you
true.
Can have it.
Because there are cheaper ways to go without the casket and all that sort of thing,
too. Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are opting for cremation these days.
But at least you know you can set up guidelines by doing something like this.
It's all, you're going to have to get in and look and see what that policy allows. Everyone is going to be different.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Anybody want to, send questions in or would like some advice? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, the email address here is wworsham@color10.com. Happy to receive the questions here. We pick the good ones and talk about them on the air.
Very good.
And then, or you can contact our office. The website's the easiest way to find us at willworshamlaw.com.
Thank you, Will. Great to see you.
Welcome.
All right.
It's good seeing you.
We'll be back with more Ozarks Live right after this. Don't go away.
Every dealership promises you a large selection and great prices, but you want more, and as you should. You want a dealership that rewards you just for walking in the door.